That him? Hi, Helena.
Hello. Good afternoon on a snowy Friday.
Yes. I was talking to someone in Arizona this morning,
Oh,
and she moved there because she couldn't take the cold.
Mm.
She lived in Vancouver and Oregon, so.
So we are live now.
Lawrence, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. I'm on my phone now. My laptop doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we've got everybody then, Paul.
Okay. Brenda, sorry, she didn't like the weather in Vancouver?
Well, she found it too wet and.
Oh, okay.
cold. Then she moved down to Oregon, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar. And so she's in Arizona.
Yeah. I had friends of mine that moved to Vancouver. He got transferred there for work, and he said the winters, he didn't mind not having snow, but having
Right.
rain almost every day
Yeah.
got a bit depressing after a while.
Yeah, I think that would do me in too. Yeah. I lived in Ottawa for 10 years where it's minus 20 as a
Oh.
normal, right? But it was clean because there's no industrial pollution. And it's very sunny in February.
Oh, yeah.
So the worst month, for seasonal disorder and all that. So it was very, very different, even though it was freezing cold.
Yeah, I have lived in Ottawa for 10 years as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, there you are, Lawrence. And you know what I mean. Yeah.
All right. It's 4:02. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Yep.
We have the agenda before us. Could I get someone move a motion to approve the public agenda?
So move.
Moved by Brenda. All in favor?
Yeah.
That carries. Are there any conflicts of interest under the Ontario Municipal Conflict of Interest Act?
No.
Seeing none. Our next item is approval of our public minutes of our meeting of February 8th of 2022. Can I have a motion to approve those?
Yeah, I think they're.
Warren?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Approval of our minutes from our closed session meeting of February 8th, 2022.
Yep.
I'll move.
So
moved.
moved by Warren. All in favor? Carried. Number 6 is our action item list. Are there any questions or concerns about that?
Possibly. It was just a question about the word Mr. Is it dinner or diner? Is it
Dinner.
Dinner.
Dinner. Okay. I didn't know whether is he presenting work to us, or is it just submitted to staff for consideration then by the committee?
The latter.
Okay. So we won't ever see him with an actual report.
I think I didn't this time, but I think if there is if the board would like the future policies coming forward for John to attend as well, we would be happy to do that. I just didn't think it was necessary for today, but if we'd like to change that, we can do that.
Not even so much his attendance, but just I gather some of them were based on prior work with Toronto Community Housing, and I just wanted the comparison.
Right. Yeah, I didn't provide all of the kind of red line copies with respect to the changes, but as we go through those policies, I'll describe where the.
Okay, that will suffice. All right, that will suffice. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to receive the action items list?
So move.
Brenda, moved by Brenda.
Yep.
All in favor? Carried. Our next item is our Board of Directors Code of Ethics and Conduct Policy. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Yeah.
Brenda?
Yeah. So where are we now? it is section. Let's see. Standards of conduct. So let's go back to page 6 of this document.
Okay, let me
Okay.
scroll down to 6.
you- Or, Mr. Chair, do you want, I don't know if you, how detailed you want to make this? We could do a page flip. I could point out some stuff as we go along, or if you just want to keep it at a high level. It's up to you.
Do you want me to present put it on the screen, the policy?
Sure, that'd be great. Did you want to go, so I don't know what the committee wants to do, page by page, or just questions where you have, pages where you have concerns, if you
Yeah.
want to raise them?
I only had it in some sections, so I
Okay.
was.
I'm fine with just, Brenda, why don't you point out where your concerns are, and then
Okay.
Warren, if you have any, we can go along like that.
Okay. Under showing solidarity for board decisions. This is something new to me, so what does this, what's the background to this, and is this something that's parallel with Toronto Community Housing?
Yes, I think this so this was the policy is using the Toronto Community Housing template.
So it's same as Toronto Community. And
This was in there as this.
and the reason for this is why? Is this because of previous problems they had that they had to do this?
I don't know. I would assume the practice that once a decision is made by the board, even though there may be a difference of opinion on the board, that once the decision is made by the board, that the board members would be expected to support that decision.
Right. And that's usually the case, but that is necessary to show it in an actual code? I've never seen this, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and just to underscore what Brenda is saying, I've never seen this in a code. I thought it was way over the top.
Yeah.
And also of a more substantive nature, in the first bullet point, directors shall show public solidarity for all board decisions. Well, how can you show public solidarity if there's a duty of confidentiality?
Well, yeah, well, you have, yeah, well, like,
They're inconsistent.
yeah. I understand the need to have consistency in board actions and decisions. And, you know, I fully understand some of this, you know, of when decisions are made, we collectively abide by them. But I just found it was a little heavy-handed in the
Yes.
tone.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that even, you know, in page 6, shall support and show public solidarity for all board decisions, even if the director may have not voted in favor of a decision. So if I vote against something and I get called by somebody and says, well, you voted against it, but I guess now you like it, I can tell you what my answer is going to be.
Well, and we're a peculiar board because we have public members. We also have 2 counselors who are also owe a duty to their constituencies, you know, beyond and above the housing constituency. And I'm assuming I don't want to differentiate, but I think in a sense there is a slightly different duty and responsibility and public posture that an elected official has over a community member on the board. I don't know if I'm being right on that, but I would, there weren't many things I had trouble with, but I just thought the wording on that, and I'd like to revisit it.
Okay. Do you want to delete it completely, or?
Well, first of all, I love the I feel like I'm at the Politburo here, solidarity for board decisions. Haven't used that language since I was in university. Uh, um, I don't know if I'd scrap all of it, but I would certainly reword it. I mean, I don't mind having something that speaks to the need, yes, to have a collective decision making. And to be mindful of decision-making processes, right? They've included here meeting protocol, courtesy, respectful conduct. Some of that is covered in our correct me if I'm wrong, is that not also covered elsewhere? Or is it just this is the area, the section they put it in?
I think it's just the section they put it in.
Okay. Well, I don't know how do people feel about it. Do you want to revise the writing of it maybe?
If I may, I mean, the only real value in this is the general concept, which may be not necessary for the code of conduct, that once a board decision is made,
Yes.
that, you know, the board supports the corporation moving ahead in that direction. So, you know, that may not really reach the level of coming into a code of ethics and conduct.
Yes, yes.
But
Yes.
that's the intent of such a thing, which is
Yeah.
normal practice. But
Well, I would be inclined to, if you want, we can cut it and then have some of that language displayed in things like procedural policies. Where else could it be discussed?
well, there's certainly some language to that effect could be in the board meetings procedures. Policy,
Yeah.
which we're going to look at next,
Yeah.
rather than
Yes.
code of conduct.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If we want to put
Okay.
it somewhere there, and we could delete it here, the whole thing.
Yes, yes. Okay. And then the other reason I highlighted this is in a sense to be supportive of our tenant members. Because remember, they're often going to be possibly feeling caught between positions, people, tenants might be taking positions, we as a board might be taking. They're going to be caught sometimes in loyalty and possibly caught in terms of what they can reveal and share, right? So I want to make sure we have some safeguards built in because of that peculiar role they are playing. I mean, it doesn't bother me, you know, what the tenants think, but if you're a tenant and you're a tenant representative and you're a tenant member, that's a different sort of pressure on you.
Yeah, just
So-
one thing with respect to that, if it's helpful, you'll see in the board procedures policy, which is coming up, that
Yes.
there is an issue. There is a clause in there about how to deal with kind of confidential.
Yes, yes, I did see that. Yeah, I
And
did
we
see that.
actually narrowed that quite a bit from what was in the Toronto Community Housing Policy, because it talked about all discussions. But of course, this and most discussions of the board are public.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of moot because they're not confidential anyway. So
That's right.
there's nothing to be held in confidence because it's
Yeah.
other
yeah.
than the closed session items. So that's how we narrowed that.
Yes, yes. Okay. So cut this section out and see how we can raise it or deal with the relevant points in another area. Is that fine by everyone?
Yep.
Fine by me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. To my comrades in arms.
Right.
And
And
sorry, did you have another issue on this, Brenda? Page?
let's see, not on page 6.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly bring up while we're on page 6.
Yep.
In the middle where it says you have to notify the chair and board chair to request a leave of absence from the board.
Yes.
Directors must be on an approved leave of absence. So I'm pretty sure it's standard that if you're seeking, because this is a municipal agency, that if you're
That's right.
seeking to be a candidate in the municipal election, I
Right.
think it's standard, you have to
Take
take a
a-
leave of
Take a,
absence.
thank you.
But I don't know about a provincial or federal campaign.
Yeah, I did see that. Thanks for raising it. I always understood it was just take a leave of absence if you're running for municipal.
Yeah.
I don't think we can restrict people for provincial and federal. I don't think
No.
we can do that.
So I would like to reword that so that
Okay.
it's participate as a candidate in a municipal election and then cut the rest of it out.
Yep,
The rest of that clause out.
Right.
okay.
Okay. So the next three lines.
Yep.
Apply for appointment. Okay, that's good.
And the last one that is, Michael, is that up to, or sorry, Lawrence, is that up to the chair to decide that?
Which one?
Participate in any other event or activity that may conflict with the best interests of TSHC or may adversely affect the ability of the director to perform their duties. There should be something at the end there that says
Yeah.
at the discretion of the chair.
Or the board.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Directors must be on an approved leave of absence too.
So
That's pretty loosely worded,
it is loosely worded. It's
too loose.
not keen on a vague
Mm-hmm.
ability to. I mean, I would assume that the specific issues that would cause these issues, should be listed. But I think a vague,
Yeah.
open-ended ability to participate in other events,
Yeah.
maybe is too loose. I think
Yeah, I think so too.
we could delete that point.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm fine with that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Brenda, next point or page?
Let's see, respect, property, political participation. Okay, then the next section was on breaches of this code. And that would be page 9 of this document. Okay, so we have here allegations, informal resolution. I needed just a little more conversation or discussion about this. And I wondered about the discipline committee and who should be on that, because you're, in a sense, you're in judgment on your colleagues. I think you have to be a little careful about that. I mean, I can understand the chair and board vice chair. But I just worry about, how do we handle this issue? Should we be in judgment on our colleague in a formal discipline manner? So is there any conversation or discussion we could have about explanation? Either Michael Warren or whoever.
Yeah. If you go down a little bit, Rajni, it'll talk about the group. Okay.
Here we
This
are.
is the investigation process, right?
Yes, yes.
And
Okay, so
Well,
I think right.
okay, so if the director receives a complaint, comment, or allegation, together an allegation from a tenant or member of the public, the following protocol. Okay, so allegations but operations, forwarded to the president and chief executive officer. Directors must not communicate with THSC staff. Well, we revised that a little bit, remember, when we were doing the conflict? You're not to interfere with the staff, but the staff was to close the loop and to at least inform you as to what the outcomes were. I can't remember the exact wording, but I think if we could be consistent there. Then Sub B, allegations regarding integrity of a staff member, goes to CEO. And then allegations relating to a director or to CEO, allegation to the board chair. Okay. Now,
Never sat on a board of directors that has a discipline committee.
yes, I haven't either, so that's. Do we need, and also help me here, complaint, comment, or allegation? That seems pretty broad. I mean, a comment, so a comment coming from a tenant. I don't know, the language just seems heavy.
Sorry, what page? Where's that, Brenda?
It's at the bottom of page 9, going up to the top of page
That's right.
10. So, okay. Do we need more precision in defining what complaint, comment, or allegation should be?
I think this entire section needs a lot of work.
Yeah,
For
okay.
one reason, it on the surface, it has this nice little process for investigations and et cetera. But by the same token, the director against whom the allegation is made is referred to in this document as being the offending director.
Mhm,
Director.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, yes, I
Um,
see that. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
just comparing it to other
Okay.
codes of conduct I've dealt with, this is way over the top. Maybe given the situation of this board, and the things that it deals with, maybe it's appropriate to have this kind of section in it, but boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I can say, even the section where it's at the paragraph before that, where it says directors are expected to welcome the comments, suggestions, and complaints provided by tenants, the public, and other stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
Almost any board I sit on where somebody has a complaint or a comment, we're directed to send it to the CEO.
Hmm.
I don't really, I think it's one thing, as a city councillor for a resident of mine to call and say, hey, I'm in this TSHC building and I
Yeah.
have an issue.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't on the board, I wouldn't say, well, you should phone a board of directors. I would
Yeah.
say, you call your, the building superintendent or
Right.
the area manager or,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No, I
think
agree
that's
with you.
above and beyond somebody on the board of directors.
Yeah. It gets into too many operational things too, which we're not supposed to be
Yeah.
dallying in,
Yep.
right? It's not my responsibility to be the,
Yeah.
the bearer of bad news and to be the collector of complaints and stuff.
Yeah. So Michael, this is a section that's just been taken out of the TCHC code, is it?
Yep.
I can see why they have problems at TCHC.
Right.
So if you'd like me to, I could
Redline it.
this. Yeah, redline it and recast it in what you might think is a more normal corporate approach, which would be through the CEO for anything coming from the public or stakeholders.
Well, it's titled Section 4, Managing Breaches of this code. So first of all, the language breaches of the code, right? So it's quite a big section because if you go from managing breaches, that goes all the way to page 9, 10. It's in the discipline committee, investigation, committee level discipline, board level discipline, up to page 12. So that's a good chunk.
Yeah.
Right? So I think a good chunk of it is off.
Yep.
So in its place, I don't know if it needs to be replaced with something or if it's just it's an overstretch.
To me, it's an overstretch.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. I think, you know, the point of the code of conduct is the code of conduct for directors. So,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
to have a section in here about general complaints seems
yeah,
not relevant.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only issue that this should be about is if complaints, the word complaints and allegations
Mm-hmm.
regarding directors come from tenants or other stakeholders. But so I think this seems to me about other things, which is you know, if it's not about directors, if it's about operations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
So again, I'll have a go at recasting this.
yeah. Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
So
Up to
Michael,
until
another question. John Dinner, what is his role in the drafting of these of, for example, this code?
Well, we took I mean, we've taken an approach, and maybe we need to relook at this, of using the Toronto community housing
Yeah.
templates.
Yeah.
So although he did make quite a few changes with respect to wording to make things clearer and move things around, he didn't go to the extent of removing, you know, whole sections. Other than in this code, there was quite a lot about conflict of interest, which we removed because it's duplicative of our code of conflict of
Yeah.
interest policy.
Yeah.
So we removed things that we felt were dealt with and removed all of that
Yeah.
would be dealt with in our conflict of interest policy. But the process for this part, you know, I think is largely what was in the Toronto community housing. So
Okay.
we could have another go at recasting this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's even necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fine by me. Should we go on?
Yep.
Section 5, enforcing, maintaining the code. Mine was a question. The intent here is for all board members once a year to declare their updated form. Would that include a like a kind of like a disclosure of boards and commissions or associations or businesses we're associated with? Is that what it would be?
Yep.
So the first board didn't do that at the initial entry point. So this will apply to us now.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so then,
These are like annual attestations.
yes, exactly. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. The question of interpretation on page 14, what do how the code should be interpreted? By the way, do we have a corporate secretary?
Formerly, our corporate secretary is DSA, who does our minutes for our board meetings, but normally it will be our legal counsel once they're in position.
Okay. Okay.
But even in the interim, Michael, you should have one.
They are formerly our corporate secretary.
Who's they?
Monique, DSA.
So she is designated as the corporate secretary?
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
Okay, as long as somebody is.
Yeah, I think the city did that when they first contracted them.
Okay.
Ah, okay. 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 Corporate secretary. Okay, so if there's questions of interpretation, does that go to the chair of the committee or does it go to the corporate secretary?
Sorry, where are you, Brenda? Oh,
Still-
interpretation?
Yeah, page 14. It seems to weave in and out between corporate secretary and then chair and then committee chair. So what is it? What one?
It seems to be the chair, the committee chair.
Yeah,
Okay. Committee chair. So
Yeah.
is that the appropriate place?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because I think this committee has the responsibility for recommending to the board and reviewing these policies. And so I think this committee chair would be the person who would advise the board as to the interpretation of the code.
Okay, okay.
and sorry, just post-directorship departing briefing, is that the role of the corporate secretary to brief, or is it the chair of the board?
That's kind of, yeah.
Which page, where is that exactly?
Page 14.
Post-directorship and departure briefings, the corporate secretary shall brief in council departing directors on their post-directorship obligations. So the corporate's,
What
to me,
are,
that should be the chair of the board doing that, right?
that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, you could do either. I mean, often the legal counsel of the corporation will, from a kind of detailed point of view, be able to do that, just to let them know factually what their obligations are. But you could do it through the committee chair or the board chair.
Well, what are our obligations post-directorship?
Don't get any ideas, Brenda.
No, but you wish. No, I'm asking because the one time this applied to me, I was on the Immigration Refugee Board, and for 1 year post my appointment, I was not to engage in any business or activities where I would benefit from my knowledge.
But that would be
Except-
subject to an NDA,
So what's an NDA?
non-disclosure
Non-disclosure
agreement.
Closure agreement. And no, and at the beginning, before I came on the board, I had to fill out all disclosure of my husband, myself, and adult children. So I don't think we're under that same sort of regime. So my question is, what are the obligations after we leave the board? Has it been identified somewhere else?
No, it has not.
Okay. Should we not?
There's your cool moment, Brenda. So when they tell you not to do anything to exceed your obligations after, you can say, sure, whatever. That's great.
That's right.
I'll see you on the front page of the Toronto Star.
Yeah, you wish. Yeah,
Yeah, so we should probably have those outlined somewhere.
I would.
Yep. Okay.
For example, one of my colleagues wrote a fiction, a novel based on her experience, weaving in her experience on the board and immigration, refugee policies, etc. She had to get clearance before she could do that. So I don't
Anybody
think
read it?
I didn't, but I don't know.
Okay, so we should get the obligations listed somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just so this section says, so I
Yeah.
would like this to say either the corporate secretary or corporate lawyer in conjunction with the chair of the board
Yeah.
shall brief and counsel departing directors on their post-directorship obligations, including but not limited to the obligation to adhere to the code to the extent possible after leaving office. Please see section
Yeah.
or whatever policy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's fine by me. And I think that was it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Warren?
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I won't I won't pick this as much as I possibly could have, but the drafting in this is not very good. I would give this a C on the drafting scale.
I'm
But, oh,
okay with
well.
nitpicking, Warren, because I'd rather do it now than have it passed,
Yeah.
and then we're all kind of like
I know.
spend all our
Okay.
time reviewing it then and redrafting it.
I'll try to stick to the more important things. I'm on page 3.
Mhm.
Just a word that possibly should be changed under requirements of individual directors.
Yep.
One second paragraph down, the last word liabilities, to recognize potential liabilities. That's a very odd word to use in that context. Maybe
Mhm.
requirements, potential requirements or something to that effect, but not liabilities.
Sorry, where's
Um,
that, Warren?
That was page 3 under the
3.
heading requirements of individual directors.
Oh, okay.
Second paragraph, last word.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very strange.
Okay.
Just on page 4, there's just a wording change under duty of loyalty.
Yeah.
Third bullet, act independently when carrying out their duties as directors of TSHC. See, I actually did read this.
Yeah,
Good.
There's a couple of typos I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
At the bottom of page 4, maintaining confidentiality. A very common provision that you see in these kinds of sections is that, yeah, directors have to remain confident, keep this information confidential unless they're required by law
Law.
to disclose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's no provision made in this section that it's required by law.
Mhm.
So that should be addressed.
Yep.
Going on to page 5, another nitpick. At the top, the second bullet at the top, directors shall treat all closed session board discussions in the strictest of confidence.
I saw
Mhm.
that one.
Okay, and again in that provision, the exception for when directors can go public is if it's required by law.
Right.
Okay, going on to page 6, all the things that the directors shall do: participate in meetings, be prepared for meetings, et cetera,
Mhm.
the bullet dealing with shall participate in workshops and other special events, that seems a bit over the top. I would like to see shall make best efforts to attend or something like that, but
Yeah.
okay. We dealt with the public solidarity issue at the bottom. That is good. Oh yeah, this is a substantive thing. Page 8 under media public comment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Conspicuous by its absence is anything in here dealing with the social media.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah, you got to have this in,
Yeah.
because if you're on Twitter or Facebook or what have you, and Ms. or Mr. X, being a director of the corporation, is talking, you've got to clearly identify that what you're saying is your personal view, not the
Mhm.
view of the corporation, that sort of stuff. There,
Mhm.
John Dinner would be aware of the template that's currently being used here to deal with social media. But
Okay.
it's completely lacking from this draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, page 9 under conflict of duty. Hate to raise this issue after what we've been through the last couple of months, is this issue of conflict of duty. So a conflict of duty occurs when a director owes a fiduciary duty. How come it's only fiduciary? A director owes lots of duties under statutes, more than just fiduciary. That's just a question to consider. But the real substantive thing that I'd like to raise is the fact that under this provision, a conflict of duty occurs when a director owes a duty to another entity unrelated to TSHC that conflicts with his or her duty to TSHC. Well, Toronto Community Housing is definitely related to TSHC. It's an affiliated company. And so this provision would not apply to Toronto Community Housing. And I don't think that's intended.
So I wonder if we need this at all, given what's in our conflict of interest policy.
Mhm.
I was going to raise that under the other document that we have that briefly mentions conflict of interest, and my point I was going to raise was we should take this out to avoid any inconsistencies.
Yeah.
So we'll
Mm.
take out any issues on conflict, because I think they're adequately covered in our conflict of interest policy.
Yeah, we don't need
Yeah.
them more than once.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people won't know where to go to understand what
All right.
the obligations are.
That's right. All right.
Okay,
That's
what
good.
else? I think that was basically it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those are all my points.
All right. Okay.
I think Paul's on mute.
Thank you. I just had my 16-year-old son roll home from high school. I didn't think everybody wanted to hear that.
He's-
Um,
You
So-
still
for a March break.
Oh, right.
Paul, did you realize that I was an original Scarborough boy?
no, I didn't.
Oh, I am.
Where are you from?
I grew up at Markham and Lawrence.
Oh, did you?
Ah,
I went to Cedarbrae.
yeah.
I was valedictorian Cedarbrae in 1971.
Oh, really?
Hot diggity. Hot diggity.
So I know the Guildwood very well.
Oh, very.
Mm.
Did you live down in the Guild or?
No, I lived behind Cedar Heights Plaza.
Oh, okay. It's part of my ward.
What was
Mm.
it?
Yeah, my ward now, thanks to our current premier,
Premier. Yes.
I only went as far as, so I went from Lake Ontario up to the 401
Right.
and Morningside to Scarborough Golf Club.
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
now my ward runs west from Morningside Avenue
Yeah.
up to the 401 to McCowan and the 401.
Wow.
And
That's
then
a
I
big-
go
that's a big
down
adage, huh?
McCowan. I go down McCowan to Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lawrence over to
To-
Markham Road. Markham
Oh my
Road down
God.
to Eglinton.
Wow.
Wow.
And then back down to the lake. So it doubled in size.
It doubled in
but,
size. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there's areas my dentist was right beside the fire hall on Markham Road, Warren.
Yep. Know that well.
For years, and he used to joke with me, if you were in my ward, I would have all these issues solved. And then I was like, here I am.
Wow.
Well, it was a different place when I was growing up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, my parents bought their house in 1966, just south of Kingston Road in Galloway.
Yeah.
And my mother thought she was living on the other side of the moon.
Mhm.
And
you-
they had my dad told her, they reached an agreement that my dad told her they would try it for 2 years, and if they didn't like it, he would move anywhere that she wanted to. And then their neighbors were good, the local church got built,
Mhm.
shopping malls, and my mom's still in the same house,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's changed a lot.
Yeah, it has.
Indeed.
Alrighty, so Michael or Lawrence, I just wanted to ask, so we have to make some revisions to this, and the recommendation is the board committee adopt it and send it to the board as presented. So do the members want to defer this until the next meeting, or I don't know if we want to have the revisions made and then debated at the board?
Well, a couple
it-
of options, I guess, Paul. One is that we make the revisions, send them round to the committee, and
Yeah.
do it through email prior to going to the board to see if there's comfort at the committee level, or go to the board with them, or defer it.
But how's our time frame here? Because we've got a board meeting on the 23rd.
31st. We've got a
31st.
bit of time.
Okay, okay,
We've got
Um,
3 weeks before the board meeting.
okay. So we
There's plenty
could,
of time to do the revisions.
yeah,
The
okay.
issue would be we'd have to circulate them, by email to check with without necessarily having a debate of this committee if there's not.
Well, I
still
would
not-
circulate to the committee. And if it looks reasonable, then we can take it to the board without another committee meeting intervening.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, as long as there's enough time for staff to do what they have to do and for us to,
Yep, we'll do that.
yeah, okay,
We'll be able to turn this around quite quickly.
all right.
Okay, so with the recommendation, be it resolved, the CGHR committee recommended the board approve the board of directors code of ethics and conduct policy as amended.
Yeah, subject to revisions. Subject to the revisions recommended by the committee.
Okay,
All right,
all in favor?
Yep.
all right.
Approved. Our next is code of ethics and conducts policy.
Hold on now, where are we?
It's the board procedures policy.
Sorry.
Board procedure,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Board
Oh, yeah.
procedures.
Item 8, right?
Sorry, I'm just scrolling down.
Okay, this was,
Just as this again was is largely what's in the Toronto Community Housing policy. John has made some I think are improvements in terms of how it's cast. The main things that we took out, because we have separate policies for and referred to them here, are the closed sessions policy, which are the rules by which we can go into closed session, and the deputations policy. So we've referred to them in here rather than trying to repeat parts of them in the actual policy. So they've been taken out and just referenced there. Both of those policies, you remember, we set up quite early.
yeah,
And they're interim really, but I think I would suggest referencing them here is fine, because those can be reviewed also and changed as necessary once they get reviewed by this committee and the board. But they're referenced for now in here.
so when we take this to the full board, would it be added, the full details of in-camera and deputation?
They don't need to be right now, but they should be reviewed at some point.
Where would then where would they be if it's not here?
They're referred to in here. I mean, we can either review those and incorporate them into one policy for board meeting procedures, as you suggest, or they can remain potentially as separate policies and be referred to here. But we didn't put them in here because they are interim, and so we've kind of just referred to them at the moment.
So
Okay.
so what's, I'm unclear, Paul, is our choice to keep it in the meeting procedures policy document, or would those things be considered in a separate document? I'm not clear.
They're currently in separate documents. So we have a separate policy for deputations, and we have a separate policy for closed meetings procedures. So if we were to review those and actually incorporate the text in here, we would sunset those as separate policies.
Sorry, Michael, on this policy, and we can, you know, I'm more than happy to debate it. And I did look at some suggestions that I thought would be appropriate for here that I did send to Rajni, and she
Okay.
was gonna convert them into PowerPoints. And I want to thank her because I've had a crazy week. So the suggestions got sent to her this afternoon. So I do want to thank her profusely for
Oh,
taking what I put forward
yeah.
and putting it on a PowerPoint so everybody could read it.
Yep. So we've got them there, Paul.
Oh. Can you make that bigger?
Put it into presentation mode, I think, Raj.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I just,
Okay.
so I just thought in terms of
Oh, yeah, I see what you're doing.
bringing some clarity to it here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because on page 2,
it wasn't this detailed.
no. So I'm
Yeah.
just, most
Yeah.
of these motions, I'm not trying, I don't think I'm doing anything out of the ordinary. I'm just trying to bring some more detail that I think
Yeah.
clarifies
Yeah.
what board members need to do as a board in terms of attendance. Well, for each one of those, these that I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, this is fine.
I like that.
So that's what I wanted to add in terms of attendance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the next one, Rajni, please.
Forum.
All right.
Oop.
There you go.
The same with quorum. Quorum, we simply have a
What
one-liner, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to put more
Yeah.
meat on the bone.
Yep, that's good.
Fine.
And there's also, I thought it clears up, you'll see at the bottom, Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, I see. Yeah. Okay,
okay?
Good.
that's good. That's good.
Are you okay with that, Warren?
Yes, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and thank you, Mr. Chair, for doing this extra work.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Rajni, next one.
Agenda and minutes.
And secretary refers to what person or persons?
That's the corporate secretary.
Corporate secretary.
What, back to the corporate secretary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, for this one, I'm asking for this to be added on page
Yep.
3 where it says agendas and minutes. So
Yep.
I'm asking for this to be added on, basically just added on at the end
Yep.
for
That's good.
clarity on minutes.
Mhm.
That's good.
Okay.
And this is declaration. Mm-hmm.
And this is the same, just more
Yeah,
meat on the
this is
bone
good.
deck.
Yeah,
We've
that's
got
good.
2 lines in the policy.
Yeah, it wasn't good enough. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Are you okay with that, Warren? Sorry, I'll let
Yeah,
everybody
just
read it
reading it.
over.
I guess just a cautionary question. This would be consistent with what we've said in the conflict of interest policy.
I believe so.
Yeah. So we want
I'm trying
to
to rid my memory of that policy.
Yeah.
so we should just make sure it is consistent then the wording and the language.
Yes, and the thing that brings it to my mind is the fact that, okay, here it says you have to declare at the beginning of a meeting. What do we say in the conflict of interest policy? In terms of it's when it first arises?
Yeah, I don't think there is a reference in the conflict of interest policy to board meetings procedures. I'd have to check that.
Michael,
No.
can you just please check? To
Yeah,
make
I
sure
will
that
check.
the two gel together?
Yeah, I will check. I don't think there's that specificity in the COI policy with respect to where at a board meeting it gets done.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I'll check that though.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Any emotions? Okay. Do-do. Oh, no questions. Show of hands.
Do
Emotion.
we have a definition as to what constitutes being present for a meeting?
Mm,
Because we do have, it does discuss at the beginning about meetings by telephone.
by telephone, teleconference, and
Yeah, and that was the point I was going to raise, that the second paragraph of this document talks about meetings to be held at 423 Young Street,
I
Yeah,
saw
as-
that too. Yeah.
as if meetings are supposed to be in person. And then you have that other provision on the next page about meetings by telephone, although it's much broader than that.
It says
Yeah.
under meetings by telephone,
Yeah,
it said meetings of the board of directors cannot be held in person. The meeting may be held by means of conference, electronic, or other communications
yeah,
facilities to permit all persons participating in the meeting to communicate with each other simultaneously and instantaneously.
yeah.
And they're deemed to be present at the meeting.
Does it say that?
Yep. The
Yeah.
last.
You know
Any
what I would
director.
do? I would,
Yeah.
on the paragraph on page 2, meetings are usually held at 423, blah, blah, blah. I would add words at the end of that sentence. Reference is also made to the section heading meetings by telephone. Just to tie the two together, words to that effect.
Can we in fact change the heading
And-
of
Yes.
And
yes.
definitely change the heading.
from
Not by
meetings by telephone to
teleconference or something like that.
attendance at meetings, or
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
I think the other thing that you is that we don't want, if a meeting is in person, I think we want the latitude that someone can join by another means. So
Yes.
it talks about,
Yeah.
so it gives the
Yeah.
impression that if a meeting is in person, everyone has to be in person. So
Yeah.
rather than that people can join in a variety of ways. So
Yeah.
I'll look at the both.
This
the
is all new. This is all new
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
COVID.
so we just change meetings by telephone just to attendance at board meetings.
Yeah, we'll just have a general thing about attendance. And how,
Okay.
yeah. And if the committee's comfortable, I would cast it that even in an in-person meeting, people can join by telephone or other
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. And that also means, Michael, just a practical consideration that any meeting facilities we have need to have the capability, technical capability of teleconferencing equipment. And so
Yeah.
a person can attend a full meeting, by whatever technology is used.
Yeah.
This is the new world we're in.
Yeah, after 3 years of COVID, it would take a lot to get me down to Young Street.
Oh,
It's
Warren,
amazing.
come on.
It's
Come on,
amazing.
you got to come down to see us sometime.
But if the meetings were in Scarborough,
Yes.
Well, I might come out to Scarborough just to see the old homestead. And
The
all that
old,
There you go.
old huts, yes.
It's amazing how suddenly out of date these things look when you read them now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, there always is the issue too of people meeting in person, so you develop collegiality, and there is that soft side to organizational development that you can miss out on if you've got people from all over not participate. It's a balancing act. I would think if we make it a requirement that you be a resident of Toronto to be on this board. So if you're going to allow people to be anywhere for the meeting, then does that mean the city has to even revisit the issue of residency? Yeah.
which
Big-
kind of ties into my next amendment that I wanted to make, which was around public presentations,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the screen. And I also have this one. No, I have another.
Okay.
Yeah, in A, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes, regardless of the number of items or matters a presenter wishes to speak to. This time may be reduced or extended at the discretion of the chair.
Right.
Because I know that there's been some concerns, and I know it's happened at TCHC
Mm.
where presentations have taken up a whole day, and it's completely thrown them off because they don't really, for whatever reason, they do not have any time limits in their
Oh.
procedural bylaw.
Oh,
Wow.
that'd be awful.
You can't get any work done.
Oh,
And I assume that means lots of people are presenting to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good and bad. Yeah.
Okay, Rajni. And so this is just about if members want to introduce items of new business during a board meeting.
Mm-hmm. So this is what, it's a notice.
Yeah.
And 2 people. No, actually, must be in writing. Stated whether it's an urgent matter.
yeah.
Then
So-
then the secretary chair can refer it to the next meeting if it's not deemed urgent. Yeah. Does this also deal with any meeting can be called with 2 days notice, 48 hours notice?
No, this is well, I guess you could, if
This
a
is-
member wanted to move a motion to do that, but
There is on page 2, under the title meetings. Board chair or any 2 directors may convene a special meeting by giving notice of not less than 48 hours to all directors. So that's it's in the tenor of what you write here, but this one is about a special meeting, 48
Yes.
hours notice.
this is just about notices that are adding items to the agenda.
To the agenda. So,
Yeah.
which is different.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. Okay,
I'm fine with this.
Okay.
yeah, that looks good.
Rajni? And this is just about conduct of the public at our board meeting.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's good. We gotta protect ourselves on that, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just to bring some clarity around voting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If requested, does that include abstentions? Recorded vote, yeah, I guess it could.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Kind of.
And this is more for us as board members.
So that's an add-on to what was in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, are we also dealing with that under, this is procedural?
Yeah, this is specifically around what to do in a board meeting, Brenda. So
Yeah.
it's
In a
not
board meeting, okay,
not-
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
One thing that's been in the back of my mind for the last while is the fact that this board, I don't think, has ever adopted Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just assume that a body is going to be subject to the rules of order unless you specifically adopt them.
And we do have,
And as most people don't know what Robert's Rules of Procedure are, then if we adopt it, then we also need to include it in board training or board information packages.
Yes.
Because it's very formalistic and not everyone in this day and age agrees with it. There's other procedural rules you can follow instead.
Yes.
I
My point
do.
exactly.
Yeah.
I do warn on another board that I sit on. Let me see if I can just find it. At the beginning of their procedural bylaw,
Mm-hmm.
where is it? They have some language that I can email this to Rajni. It says all points of order or procedure for which rules have not been provided in the bylaw will be decided by the chair as far as reasonably possible in accordance with the rules of parliamentary procedure as contained in the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order.
That's fine, as long as we specify.
Do we want to?
You'll
Do
send
we
that
want-
across, Paul?
Yep,
Yeah,
I will email it right now.
we can add that in.
And I want to add, it won't be in this document, but I want to add then if we're going to do that, then we need to understand what that means and train board members.
I keep a copy
Because
of,
it's the oldest trick in the book. Whenever in my old days, you want to dominate a situation, is you pull out Robert's Rules of Procedures and you baffle gab everyone with procedural control, and that's the oldest trick in the book. And that was often used against us as community groups because we didn't know those things. We weren't privileged to have that knowledge and information and training, or working with boards that even have those things. Right?
Yeah.
So I have huge hesitations about just declaring Robert's Rules of Procedures unless we understand what it means and that we get all trained on it. Otherwise, it's a tool of control.
I agree.
I've been on both sides, using it and being used against.
we actually at City Council, we have our procedural bylaw, which
Mhm.
is very specific and it's been years in the making. And we
Yeah.
actually have a clause in it that says Robert's Rules of Order do not apply.
Wow.
And when I first got elected, I forget what I was trying to get done. And I said something about, under Robert's Rules of Order, and everybody started laughing at me. And I was like, hey, I don't really get the joke here. And somebody yelled at me, you should read our procedural bylaw before you try and lecture us on Robert's Rules of Order. And I was like, oh, okay.
And you were told. You were the new kid in the block, eh?
Oof. And I keep a copy of Robert's Rules of Order on my City Hall desk.
Wow. Touche.
Okay.
Public library has dummies version.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
I borrowed one.
Yeah. Poor Lawrence, right? Thrust into this role.
And so and the next one I have, it's just around communication,
Yes.
how it has to be addressed to the board.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
And then the second part, it's further rules around communication, including, communication that goes to the chair. It can go before the board and then it can be directed to the CEO for consideration or to be dealt with.
Or the committee.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And I think that was my last.
Good. Very good.
Good.
Yep. I think that was my last one.
Good. Terrific.
Thank you, Rajni.
You're welcome.
Do you want to do the same with this one, Paul, as we did with the other one, in terms of a recommendation based on with the revisions as recommended?
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Carried.
Yep.
And next we're at.
Thanks for doing that, Paul.
Oh,
Yes,
no
indeed.
problem.
Yes, thank you very much.
Where are we on?
Sometimes I enjoy governance and sometimes I get into it and I can't get out of it.
Funny, I wouldn't have thought that.
So we're going into
Where are we now?
I think sorry, I'm just scrolling back
To
up.
9,
We're
closed
going into
session.
closed session.
Yes.